Where should I serve? You play him all the time.
He goes to my backhand, and then he comes as the forehand, and then he goes as the forehand, and the forehand, and the forehand. You know, until I'm back there, and then he goes down the line. Better to the backhand.
Okay.
To the backhand.
Well, we are in Roland Garros the second week, and I had to pull up this Hit for Haiti clip, I guess you could call it, and I'm just thinking, again, Roger Federer, you know how well, and you know exactly how Rafael Nadal plays you. You know, I imagine so, you know how most of these guys play you, so I'm just wondering, I hear a lot that you watch, you know, everyone else's matches, but again, I just want to bring it back to, do you watch your own matches, the matches that you have been defeated in? Do you take a look at that? And is that, you know, something that you should be looking at challenging yourself on doing, like just to see yourself in those matches? I mean, you could be doing that the last year or so, but I just remember it's actually a couple of years back when I heard you say you don't watch the matches that you've lost, and I've also mentioned that in my other videos. But it just makes me think back to Djokovic and Nadal, and then their whole process, and almost anyone else, but particularly those two, almost anyone else who's had to really make a decision in their tennis career that they really want to be able to either defeat you or just really put themselves in a position to defeat you. Like, they really had to change some things. They really had to do some things that maybe they didn't even want to do. And particularly for Djokovic, I think, it takes me back to 2010, the tournament in Basel against him, where you beat him. And then it was like Djokovic suddenly came back in 2011 and just went dominant that year. And so I just wonder, you know, it's very interesting to see the process, or just to be on the outside and figure out what was the transformation for Djokovic. Like, what was it like after Basel, or was it after the ATP World Tour finals at the end of the year, where he just decided, you know what, I'm tired of losing to Federer? That's what it seemed like to me. Like, he just said, you know what, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do. Like, I'm just tired of losing to Federer. I'm just tired of making it to the semifinals or whatever. And he completely just made this transformation, like with his diet. He went gluten-free, his fitness, because, you know, he had that whole thing where, you know, he had that whole retirement thing, retiring actually from quite a few matches over the years, and except I will give him the time at the Australian Open. I can't remember what year it was, but he was playing against Roddick, and it was 140 degrees outside. So any other time other than that time, I really you know, I give Djokovic a pass on that one. I don't think he retired in that one, but I know he was really, really not feeling well about that one. But anyway, to get back on track, bring myself back in, there's a point, like, with the process of these other two players, like, where they just said, you know what, number 2 and number 3 just isn't good enough for me anymore. You know, I really want to get myself into a position of number 1. And in order to do that against someone as great and as legendary as a Roger Federer, first of all, you cannot sleep at the wheel. Secondly, you cannot half step. Okay, you cannot come to a match and be half out of it. You've got to be 150 or 200% on. No, it's not mathematically really possible, but you've got to be fully on. You cannot sleep at the wheel. You've got to raise the level of your game, and people have really made true sacrifices. And now that they've made true sacrifices, you know, it's kind of like they put the ball in your court. And I feel the desire that you want to win, but I think me, as well as a lot of other fans, just feel like, the cost. There's a peevish, there's like this saying that's kind of like peevish to me, but I'll say it anyway. It's Djokovic and Nadal have actually paid the cost to be the boss. I really hate that saying. Because that's what comes to mind. And you did as well. But now, the cost, the level, everything has been raised. People have changed the games. They've brought their own spice and flavor to responding to their own transformation to meet your level of tennis. So my thing is that as I played this recording just a moment ago of how you know how Rafa plays you, you know what his strategy is, and it may have changed since this hit for Haiti clip, but I still feel like you know how Rafa plays you. So to spend time in the second week of Roland Garros in a time where you really want to take Roland Garros, take Wimbledon. I know. I haven't really heard you say you want to really take Roland Garros, but I imagine that you do. I don't even know why I said that, but no, you want to. I know you want to win Wimbledon. I know you want to win the gold medal, and I'm sure you want to win the U.S. Open. But in order to do those things, like, you have to go where you haven't gone before, and if you have not watched the matches that you've lost, just realize that, in order for Djokovic to get passage to the number one spot in the world, in order for Rafa to get passage to the number one spot in the world, to get past you, they did things that they didn't want to do. And I'm sure, watching matches that they've lost was a part of it. And I just feel like, this week, as you go against these people, as you go against Del Potro tomorrow, as you go, as you're in this second week with a whole bunch of other hungry people, that the highest favor to yourself would be able to spend time, I think, personally, it's just my opinion, watching the matches you've lost, and instead of watching Rafa play against people, instead of watching Djokovic play against people and taking 3 hours or, between an hour and a half to 3 hours of time doing that, whereas you could be actually seeing some things that you might feel you could tighten up or change or switch, or just get a feel for looking, just really getting a different view on your game by looking at the match from a different perspective rather than being actually in the match and making a mental note and tally of everything, because actually you're very, very good at being aware of almost every single detail that's happened in a match. I've seen you rattle off details, and I think you're very talented in that. But just to look at yourself from a different perspective and be able to see the opponent and yourself in that dynamic together, from more of a bird's eye view. I sort of really have a hard time feeling that you haven't watched any matches that you've been defeated in, but this is just a calling to say, if you haven't done it, that it would be better to take a look at those things than spend time looking at matches of people you already know how they play you. You already know how Rafa plays you. You already know how Djokovic plays you. And, looking at their matches and seeing them win and seeing how hard they play and how, Nadal killed somebody today on the court, killed Monaco today on the court. I don't feel that helps your psyche, looking at that stuff. I feel like, personally, that in order to keep your morale really high and strong and belief really fortified, that you don't even watch those matches, leave it for your coaches to do or whatever, That's my own personal advice, but you know what? I don't know tennis better than you, but I know I could throw out ideas. I know I have good ideas, so I'll just trust that. And then the ones that don't work, just don't use them. You obviously won't if you're watching this. But yeah, I mean, you can always just go right on YouTube the very next day and watch 6 to 12 minutes of the highlights of every single play of the match. And save time, and then utilize 3 hours of time either practicing some new skill or honing it, or just analyzing your own game, or even just working on how you'll work through heavy adversity while you're on the court. Like, really just, when Rafa's running all over the place and getting every ball back, like, how are you going to keep your mind, like, from retreating and deflating? Like, how are you going to be in relationship with yourself? Like, okay, all right, let's go again. All right, let's give it a good shot. Like, oh, yeah, like, really just keeping yourself pumped up. And the same thing with Djokovic, and I was watching a match with you and Tsonga, an old match from the ATP World Tour final, and there was a point where you had the opportunity to really, like, you could have hit the ball to the left. It would have been a slightly difficult. This is only from my perspective on a TV. Maybe on the court, it might have been a little different. And again, I could never sit here and act like I know tennis better than you, but I could just throw out things. And for me, it's like my attitude is like, I could just lend what I need to lend as a fan and trust, that my intentions are great. I mean, my intentions are great, but just throw it out there, as a fan. And if it's wrong, it's just wrong. But there's an opportunity where you could have just hit that ball and put it away, by hitting it to the left. It would have been a little bit awkward, but given your ability, I know that you could have done it. But you hit it back to Tsonga on the right side of the court. I think he hit it back to you, hit it back to him, and then Tsonga all of a sudden just walloped the ball, like, into an area of the court you weren't even on. And so my point is, like, do it to them before they do it to you. And that's, I guess, sort of the thing with tennis. Like, it is, somebody loses all of the time, and it's just what is. And if you're not going to, I'm not saying you, Roger Federer, but I'm just saying the tennis player in general. If the tennis player isn't going to just put the ball away, the opponent is going to put the ball away. Someone else is going to make that choice for themselves over you. So, I was just looking at that, and then I saw also some doubles with you and Wawrinka, which in Indian Wells too. So there was a point that you actually made where the ball wasn't put away as well. And that was a point where that ball really could have been put away, but you didn't put it away for whatever reason. And I don't know, Wawrinka ended up coming in and having to actually take care of that. But I think you guys lost the point. But the commentators actually said, yeah, Roger should have put that ball away. And I know, like, these are just really little things, but just as you go into the second week of Roland Garros, I just think it's great to have a killer, sort of instinct. I know maybe that's not a good word to use, but just really knowing that it's just a natural thing where somebody is going to lose in a game of tennis, and if you do not put the ball away, the opponent will, because the stakes are high. It's the quarterfinals going into the semifinals. People really want this. Rafa and Djokovic definitely really want this, and they'll do what they need to do to get it, and they will take themselves first and make every single thing inconvenient, obviously as highly inconvenient as possible for you on the court. So I think, just for lack of better word, or maybe it's just my New York upbringing, just suddenly becoming an assassin and well, alright, well, anyway, I'll finish my sentence. Just, with regard to tennis, just becoming the tennis assassin, putting every ball away, like if you're coming in net, you're coming in net to going for the kill, like the put away, like slamming that ball. You can, because otherwise somebody's going to just chase it down and just hit it right past you. So, yeah, I think some of the killer instinct and just taking yourself first is great. Yeah, no, good luck with everything. I'm really going to end this video because I'm sure it's going really long. I have some other, it's 15 minutes. Yeah, so good luck with everything. I think you should, watching everybody else's matches this week, I think everyone's going to be in high performance, so I don't feel like if you're watching Nadal or Djokovic's matches or anything like that, that you're going to come away with feeling anything more than some sort of tentativeness or tension or maybe even a little less confidence or something like that. Like, maybe consider thinking of letting the coaches just watch the matches. You already know how these guys play you. You can get your information from your coach or whatever. And something else interesting, like, is there an area in relation with your coach, like, where there's no space for him to push you? Like, is there, and this could be, I really don't want this to be taken as rude or obnoxious or intrusive by saying this, but, by stepping out of your comfort zone, by changing and dismantling some things that you've just been used to, and even some frame of mind, that has worked in the past, that you may not be readily wanting to dismantle, but somebody else might be suggesting that. Like, is there any room that you give your coach to really sort of push you? Because I feel like, in high school or whatever, or in college or university, whatever you want to call it, there's more of an authoritative relationship with a coach and the athlete. But since, you're more like a client to the coach, so, I don't feel like, professional sports sometimes that you get the same amount of latitude to really sit down and go to bat for the athlete's interest. Like, listen, I know you might not really like this, but you should really try this, and, and really go to bat, so I just wonder, like, if your coach is suggesting something that you haven't sort of been doing, and you don't want to do for whatever reason, like, what are you willing to do? Because this is all in the interest for yourself. Like, if not that, then what are you willing to do? What will you do? And the only reason why I suggest this is because I just, again, look at Djokovic's progression and Nadal's progression and even the other perimeter players, their progression on what they've decided to, they know they really had to change in order to be remotely some sort of competition for Roger Federer, who was so dominant for so many years. Like, those people made decisions and they changed stuff and they got out of their comfort zone. And so I'm just challenging this week, like, what are you willing to do to make some changes? Like, does that mean watching at least one match you've been defeated in, like, this week, and just really see what's going on, see where you checked out, or whatever, that checking out that I've been talking about for the past couple of videos. See when you came to net, it could have made a different decision or whatever, or when you should have gone in there, or when you could have taken a ball early. Because I feel like when I'm watching TV, not only with you but with other players, like, I see the ball come in like a little slow, and I'm like, oh, step in and take that, step and take it and put that away. again, I am not a tennis player, but I do trust my analytical skills, you know. And I guess the reason why I'm sitting here justifying this is because somebody said, "Oh my gosh, don't you think it, you know, some of them know, like, you're talking about belief systems. Don't you think that a professional player would know that?" And I'm like, yeah, I do, and I recognize that, but I mean, I also recognize the fact that, you know, I'm someone who knows about belief systems as well. I don't need to be a professional tennis player in order to know that. So anyway, I just say all this to say that I'm trying to offer all that I have with great faith, and you know, if it's not useful, we just don't use it. But anyway, good luck. And I'm gonna end this video, and you know, all the way through to the end. That's all. Have a good one. Bye bye.